Hello and welcome to the United Film Podcast. My name is Greg Randolph. I'm a writer and director from Boston, Massachusetts. This podcast is an opportunity for me to tell you about filmmakers currently active in the UK from around the world. Today, Shayli Reagan is on the podcast. Shayli originally hails from Los Angeles, where she pursued acting from a young age. She studied screen acting at NYU before moving to London to further advance her career. We met on a feature film that I directed called A Tailor-Made Romance, where she played the lead. It was a fabulous experience, and we got to work together again on feature film I Know What You Did Last Christmas. This is a portrait of a young actress making headway and a look at the director-actor relationship and our experience working on these two projects. Shayli Reagan, welcome to the United Filmmaker Podcast. How are you?
I'm good. Good morning. Good to see you.
Good to see you, Shayli. I missed you.
I missed you.
And I'm really happy to have you here. Like, it's so awesome with the podcast. I feel like it's so great. Like, you know, with like our investment in wanting to make movies and just get out there and be in TV and film and stuff like that. Like, it's so cool to be able to meet people and then bring them on the podcast and like have like good conversations and like watch it all kind of just grow. So I think you're a really cool example of that because we kind of just crashed into each other on the feature film Tailor-Made. Shout out to Louisa Warren, kind of bringing the whole team together, and Champ Dog Films. And it was super fun.
It was so much fun.
It was really cool. Like, it's just one of those things, right? Because like, the way it's all very serendipitous where it's like I'm meeting Louisa Warren on like a vertical drama and then all of a sudden it's like, you know, just like starting to chat and like learn about what she's up to and then finally getting that opportunity and then bumping into you and Connor.
Yeah, it's weird. I think that especially because we're both from the US, I feel like every connection that I've made has been on the back of like every single film. And I think that like, once the three of us were in the room, it kind of just like felt correct, you know, and I think that it was working like a well-oiled machine very quickly. And I don't know if that's because we're both like, you know, Americans here and it's...
For sure. It's very, and you kind of think like, was that something that was in the back of Luis's head, you know, this whole idea, like, oh, they'll be a good fit. Like, it's one of the interesting things about a producer, but they kind of put all the people together.
It's like really, matchmaking in a way. Like,
it really is. Oh my God. Like it's like one thing within another. But I mean, Tailor-Made was super fun. And like, it was so funny because at the time I knew way less about you and Connor. So I was kind of just going into it with like a fresh head, you know, just straight out of school, having done a couple of vertical dramas, but never something like that before, especially, I mean, that's my first feature, like straight up.
That's crazy.
But it's like one of these things where it's like, you know, super fast paced, you know, these films are done in a couple of days. And so there can be a lot of stress, you know, with the crew and the cast and everything like that. And my goal, you know, just trying to make things feel comfortable to like tell this kind of rom-com, you
100%.
know? And I'm very happy with it. And, you know, it's so cool that like Izzy's even kind of setting up this screening in December. So it's cool. It's like, and I think you kind of look at it in two ways. You look at it as just like you're happy with the product because we put a lot into it, but also that it will make for lots of other
100%.
Things that we can do in the future, you know, and you're working super, super hard. I mean, you're doing a ton of, so I'm trying to think, let's see, with that out of the way, and that's kind of like how we know each other. I like to start at the beginning and I like to get a sense of what got you into acting, what got you into performance. And maybe you can just tell me a little bit about what got you here to London as well.
Of course,
because you're originally from LA.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a crazy timeline of events that I think it actually kind of freaks me out every day. I'm like, God, how have I feel like once you're around like British people enough, I always forget, like, because I'll be here with my friends or like my boyfriend and I'm used to hearing the accents, but then sometimes I'll be sat somewhere and I'm like, how the heck did I end up here? It's kind of crazy, but so I know one of my family is a performer. We're all dramatic. We're not performers. I think my mom always said, like, when I was little, I know they were like super into country music and which now I have mixed feelings about. But back then I remember I would get in trouble because I would go to school and I would sing a song called I Love This Bar by Toby Keith. So I'd be like going to school like, I love this bar, which is ridiculous, right? But I would sing in the backseat. And that kind of was when my parents were like, she's actually not bad for like a little kid. And so then I started voice lessons. And this will be important in the story later, but I basically like, I had the raspiest voice as a child. Like I sounded like I was smoking at like 5 years old. And, so I started like voice lessons and whatever. And then I'd seen like, we saw Wicked, and I remember like being obsessed with Wicked, and like to the point when I was like 6 or 7, my mom used to like she bought me green face paint because I went one time like painted as Elphaba, but then she would have to hide it if she was like going over to the neighbors and stuff, because I would full on like paint myself and get in the backyard and be like practicing, like it was like in my head. I feel like, and I feel this way now. I think it's because I do come from a sports background. My parents are like, you play every sport, like. So, I think it's because I'm an only child as well. I was like my dad's boy and my mom's girl, and like both.
Gotta do it.
But it was kind of that like athletic mindset from a kid that I was just like, I need to get in the backyard and be singing through Wicked every day. Like it was actually like twisted. It was a bit twisted.
No, I get it. Well, like highly motivated, maybe almost too much at times. Obsessive, for sure. I mean, but I think anyone can relate to that in the industry, just like a bit of an obsession, because it kind of all comes together, because you need to really you want to be the best, and you have to be a bit obsessive to be considered, someone who's up there. And I think you do. I mean, from my own perspective, I think you have a good blend of those things. And even when you perform, like in film and things like that, I notice that athleticism. You know what I mean? Like kind of just even in because we've done Tailor Made, and then about a month later we did I Know What You Did Last Christmas, this kind of horror film, and it was really cool because you completely different character. Yeah. Kind of in some ways a support to Lolly,
100%, who's
incredible.
Happens to be one of my great friends as well.
And but I think you totally got the idea of the film, and it was something that like I was thinking about that the other day. I was thinking a little bit about like when you start to think about a movie and we start to get the rehearsals together and stuff like that, how we start to get an idea of like what the film is going to be like. Yeah. And you got that so well about like, I mean, right from the get-go, but there's this one scene like towards the end of the film, we can't give too much away, I guess, because we want people to go see it, but it like had this cool, like it's a pretty physical, that movie overall was pretty physical 100%. With like moving around and stuff like that, getting pushed over and all this stuff. But I don't know, it clicked in some way, and you brought like a completely different type of thing. And maybe I'm describing this not so well, but I don't know. I noticed some of the things you're saying, in regards to like that, like composure.
It's interesting because when I was a kid, and because like I was saying, I was doing musical theater. I started actually doing musicals, and I was performing with like adults when like very young. I don't know if it's because I looked older or what, but then I was playing opposite adults really young. So I think that like I kind of always tried to like hold myself to like that. I didn't want to be looked at as the kid, because I know the first time I got cast in a role that a lot of girls that were a lot older than me wanted, I kind of like felt that pressure of like not proving people wrong, but I was just like, I think people kind of were like, why they cast this little kid? I was like,
you wanted to prove yourself.
I was so innocent. I just loved it so much, but I would eat up everything. And it's weird because I look back at my childhood and I don't actually remember like school years. I remember like what show I was doing at the time. That is how I can literally mark passages of time within like my childhood, which is again like not that normal. but you know what, it's odd though, because I swear to God, like my parents knew nothing about musicals. Something that they're like, when we met, we were like, they had both had tickets to the Phantom of the Opera and not went because they're like, we don't like that stuff. And I just, for some reason, honestly, I think it's because I'm stubborn. I just was like, this is something that I can have like full control over and like kind of, but what I was gonna say is like,
I see. Yeah. You wanted to carve out kind of your own place in the family, and like, that's an interesting thing about like a family is like, when they think about like, what's my place? Do I just want to go along with what like my mom likes or my dad likes or something like that? Or do I want to try and like expand this way and kind of show them a whole new side of something? That's kind of the cool thing about like having a kid or something like that. It's like they'll expose you to a whole new...
That's something that always in my kind of through line day to day, I'm like, oh my God, I cannot wait to like have kids and tell them all of these things. And I think that's something like...
And maybe they'll be like, they'll go in a direction where you're like, what the hell, where'd that come from?
But I think it's also... I mean, my parents are my best friends in the world, but they have taught me so much. And then I think they always say like, I've introduced them to so many things as well. Like it's definitely been like, like it went from like my dad just being like, taking me to softball practice and to being like at these shows being like, I don't know, that person's all right. I didn't like the set in that, didn't like the costumes. And I was like, they're now the hard critics.
That's funny.
Like, I think it's good. I thought it was good.
That's cool though. That's really cool.
But yeah, I think that coming from that musical theater background, I mean, Southern California musical theater is the most intense. It's like Dance Moms, but I was like, my mom's not like that. She just was not really involved. She was like, you do you. I want like everything you get to be based on merit, not based on like your mom like kissing up or whatever. But it was crazy. It was like when I ended up going to school for MT, and when I got there, I was like telling people stories about like kind of the SoCal like musical theater world, and everyone was like, that's not normal. Like, and I guess I built really thick skin, but I think that I was so obsessive with like, you know, every script I got, I would just be like a month in advance, just like it would be black with like writing and like just all that. Where now I think that kind of when I'm looking at like attacking a script, I think I go back and forth. I'm like, at this point in my life, like I want to test myself a bit, so I'm going to go in a little less kind of like, you know, like I think because we were speaking about Christmas, and I think with that I was like, you know, oh God, I'm like trying not to give anything away.
No, hear me out here, because what I'll do is I'm gonna like imagine like before the, and I can cut all this out, you know what I mean? Don't even worry about it, so we can have like a sidebar. But basically like I'll do a little intro. I'll be like, today I have Shayli Reagan on the podcast. We talk about you know, a couple of films we worked on. So there'll be an introduction.
Gotcha.
So I think, you know, we don't have to be too much too light with Christmas. I think we want people to be excited about it more than anything. Talk about the film. You know what I mean? Like, let's not worry. This is totally like, you know, I wish a million people are watching it, but it's gonna grow, and who knows? You know, when we blow up, that's when this will blow up. So like, it's like, let's just like, and these are early films for us. You know what I mean? So it's totally chill. It's totally chill.
But I think that it's weird because back home I would always play like Disney princesses, and I remember I don't know what role it was, but I remember telling my friends like there was some show that I'm like, I really want to play that role, and people were like, you don't have enough edge, like you're Princess Shayli. And then I moved here and people are like, psychopath. That is just like literally I play the craziest people, but I guess like for me I think I know, right? It's every time, and
but that's what's fun about Tailor Made, is that it kind of puts that completely on its head. And again, my God, it's nice to have like Louisa, like kind of thinking about, how do we change it? And you know, it was interesting. Like I've directed 4 of these Champ Dog films. Each one has had a female lead. And I don't know what it is. I think, and even in my short films I've done, swimming at least, like it's a female lead. I very much enjoy that, like thinking about that perspective. I think it's like, I don't know what it is, but it's just like kind of, I guess maybe it's a bit out of body, and it's a bit thinking from a completely getting outside of that kind of like masculine kind 100%. Of like thing, which has been seen a bajillion times anyways. And it's, I mean, it goes both ways, but I like that the Champ Dog is doing that, and I think directly from I think that can make for a good film, is when you're kind of like putting 2 different perspectives, like a director's perspective and the actress's perspective is like kind of coming from different backgrounds, and I think that's when you start to get a mix of some interesting ideas. And then again, like us coming from the US, making the film 100%, here, just adds layers.
Well, I think also for me, because I used to, when I got role, I was like, oh my God, what are like similar roles, similar films? And I would always watch like women. And then I started thinking, I'm like, I'm not like I think the spectrum, everyone falls on like masculine, feminine, kind of like who you are as a person. Because I know like I definitely have like, again, like I played sports. And I was like very like, my parents like, you get your hands dirty, stuff like that. So it's like, I think every role that I play, I always kind of look at it like, all right, like what is the kind of like masculine energy this person has, the kind of feminine energy this person has, and kind of like going from there. And I think that like, especially with, you know, I'm trying to think of an example.
No, well, I think you were on something cool in regards to, like you said, it sounds like when you were younger, and we talk about kind of this obsessiveness to want to mark up the page and just like, have every detail ironed out, and you know the character in the specific way. And then it sounds like what you're doing is, and this was something I was going to ask a little bit in regards to like your growth, or how you write as an artist, right? Like how you change, like, so it sounds like you're starting to let some of that be more free.
100%. I think that
and especially on these like super quick, you know, like where maybe when you were doing these you know, these musicals where you had a little bit more prep time in these things, again, when you start to flip into this, like we were talking about vertical dramas, which I'd love to talk with you about a little bit, you have to be a little bit more intuitional and improvisational with it. Well, you know, there's something like inherent 100%. In what's going on nowadays with where we're at.
Yeah, and I think that it's weird because I used to be someone that was so prep just prep was everything to me, and it was something that would make me feel really comfortable, like doing theater, just getting on stage and forgetting all of it and just going for it. And I think that like with film, especially with these things that sometimes you find out about like a couple weeks prior, you don't necessarily have the time to like live in someone's shoes. And like for me, like making a playlist and kind of like walking around and doing stuff like that, and like the journals and stuff, you don't always have that kind of time. And I think that with that, and I remember the first feature that I did here, I was like, it was a horror, and I'd never done a horror, and I was like, oh my God, like I don't know about this, like this kind of weird, like
I felt the same way. Yeah,
I was
like just stepping into new territory, and you have to you have to find your footing quickly to make it work for you. Otherwise, then you talk about not being in control,
100%,
and feeling like you might be even being used. You know what I mean? And like you need to be able to like, and it's possible. Like again, if you talk about it from like an artist's perspective, right? Like someone who needs to. It's all like a mindset in some ways where you have to ask the right questions, but then like even when you're on set. Like you kind of have to be able to scope everything out and make sense of it quickly. And that's something that's part of the process. That's part of what we do.
Well, I think it also kind of, again, like saying like my first project was a horror film, and it's something that it was a foreign world to me. I was just kind of like, I don't even know what this is, but like it's my first gig that I've gotten since I've been here. Gonna go do it and see what happens. And I think that horror as a genre like also lends itself to like, you know, it's not always the most character driven, like with these kind of like quick, like, but it is kind of like, what is my circumstance? What are the stakes? And like kind of writing on your impulse, because what would you do if you were in that situation? You'd be writing on impulse, you know? And I think that even though they're made fast, you do kind of feel like you just go through this whirlwind of like, oh my God, what just happened for the past week? Yeah. You know?
Yeah. And you want to use that to your advantage.
Exactly.
That's what we're talking about. Is like saying, oh, this isn't a negative, I'm not going to complain, and like use this as the reason why the film didn't turn out the way I wanted. You got to take all that energy, and you can, and that's the fun of it. That's what's fun about what we do. And you know, as we progress and maybe we get more time, or maybe we think about it and we go, okay, even if we were to have more time, there's a lot we want to just keep 100%. Under the books and be ready for set.
You're never going to have enough time. Like, you know, it's always, I think that like, I'm sure even on like films where they're filming for ages, you're still having that like, oh, I wish we had a bit more time. I wish we had a bit more. Right.
Because if you have 7 days and you want 8, if you don't have 8, you want 9. So you got to really stop complaining. You know what I mean? And just like go for it.
Put your head down.
I think we both believe in that. You know, and like that's what makes winners.
Yes.
Damn it, not to sound like some type of like, I don't know,
no,
whatever.
It's
but like,
so American.
It is. So let's talk, because I want to kind of go with the timeline aspect of things. You've given me a good idea of kind of what it was like growing up in LA, and just kind of some of the pressures. And some of the pressures I think that you kind of like, because of who you are and what you want to do, that you put on yourself, which I think is totally natural and normal. So then my next question is a little bit about, tell me about maybe kind of outside of kind of childhood, and it sounds like you kind of immediately were drawn to musicals and drawn to theater and drawn to film. Tell me more about kind of the next stage after that, like getting your undergrad, which you went to NYU, and you lived in New York, which is very interesting, and I was there for quite a while as well. I think we missed each other by just a minute.
Yeah, we did.
On the tail end. But I'd love to hear about the decision to move to New York, and then a little bit about your experiences in New York, maybe a project you worked on there, or what that time period was like. Yeah,
I think I always knew I wanted to end up in New York as a child. I definitely was one of those kids that like romanticized it a lot. I was like, I'm gonna do Broadway, like, you know, just that kind of like, and it was weird because I remember applying for schools, and I had this feeling in October, and I was like, I don't know about musical theater. I remember having that feeling, but it's almost like, I always explain musical theater like it was my first love, and it's almost like when you love something so hard, but your body knows like maybe this isn't perfectly right, but you love it so hard that you're just like, no, that ignore it. And so I ended up getting to NYU, which is one of my dream schools. Went to NYU, and I don't know exactly when it happened that I kind of was just like, I don't know about musical theater. And I think that I don't know if it was like, I mean, music became very important to me, and I think that like, I love R&B. That's kind of like R&B, hip hop, rap, all that stuff. That is
great place.
I love.
New York is a great place for that as well.
It is. Oh my God. And I think that I was kind of singing these songs in class, and I was like, I would feel connected, but I think that I always felt like it's almost, what do they say, like putting a square peg in a round hole. I just felt like there was something about the castability I had within certain shows. And like I said, like my voice was not super conventional, and I was like dealing with like, I've had more vocal injuries at this age than people have in like a lifetime. Like my voice was always kind of like thinning out. But what happened was,
but that gives its own unique quality,
which is great for film. But it's in the moment I was kind of denying it, and then COVID hits, and I'm like a year and a half in, so I ended up going back home, which I didn't hate. I love being with my parents, like so. But it still was kind of like I hit a point after once we got into like my junior year, so my third year, that I was like, I need to go back to New York.
Was it competitive at NYU? Was it like really like kind of a cutthroat kind of atmosphere, or was it more like people supporting each other in a way? Because I don't know, sometimes you look at like Whiplash or like kind of, you know, the Juilliard kind of system, and NYU is like, no, that's a really great school. So I'm wondering, was there that type of environment? Or was it really kind of, because even at film school it could be a little competitive, you know, where it's like, but in ways that like it's such a strange type of competition because you kind of want to support each other, and you want to be, you know, you're kind of challenging each other, you know.
It's weird. I think that coming from Southern California, because like people from California are pretty like, they're very like appearance based, things like that. So I think I was a bit desensitized when I went to school, because I had friends be like, this is so like, people are like, the teachers aren't nice, and I was like, really? I think the teachers are a bit like too nice, like. But I think it might just be because NYU is like a bit of like nepo babies and stuff like that. Teachers were a bit cautious with how they kind of would. Where I was like, I want someone to like. Just really like go in. Like I wanted that. I think that it's like, if you're paying that much to go to school per year, I want to kind of be shaped a bit more. Where I think that not that I actually had a really great experience at NYU, and luckily enough, like my group was super cool, and I think it was like we were the group that was bad at music theory, because we were grouped by music theory placement. Like I have, like to me it's like math. I don't get it. Like and my teacher used to call me the composer, because I would go up to sing the like thing that was written, and I would just sing something crazy, and he'd be like, sounds great, but that's not what's on the dang page. Whatever. But it wasn't, our group was not like that. I think it's because we were each like really kind of weird talents, that there was not really a way to compare yourself to anyone within our group, so no one really did it. But I felt very lucky in that sense, that I was, because I think there were other groups that were a little bit more kind of cutthroat, or a little more like cool. You found a good group of people to work with there. Yeah, I got lucky. But basically COVID hit, and I was home, and then I kind of was like, oh God, I'm on a camera anyways. I think the like tactical thing to do would be to switch to the like film acting program. I was just like, I'm gonna be on a camera anyways. What am I getting tap dancing at 5 a.m. on the West Coast, ruining my mom's hardwood floors? I'm not like gaining anything from that. And I remember like just having this gut impulse to go into like the film acting program. Nice. And and I was so set on like, I'm gonna do film for like those 2 years, and I'm gonna graduate, and I'm just gonna like, and then of course like immediately after school, the first thing that I booked was a play. And it was like, and then it was a musical.
It's a lot of theater in New York. I mean, tons, like downtown,
it's beautiful.
All that stuff.
And I think it's.
Was this in New York?
In New York. Cool. I was doing all the downtown plays, like which is weird, because now when I watch, I think it might have been Jeremy Strong, who's one of my favorite actors. It might not have been him, but I think it was. He was speaking about like, oh yeah, when I was young, doing downtown plays, and like, it's almost like a rite of passage. I feel like for a lot of people that do live in New York, you do the downtown plays that like don't pay well, and you kind of just like, or like I did the last show I did in New York was I guess it was kind of rap, rock, whatever, musical of Romeo and Juliet. Nice. And I like went into that audition being like, oh my God, it was a great audition. I was like, I'm gonna play Juliet, I know it. And the director calls me and he was like, do you want to play Romeo? And I almost like laughed. I was like, what the heck, man? And I remember calling my mom and we were cracking up. And it was like the strangest thing I've ever done. Because I was like, I never thought I would have that.
That's pretty interesting.
But it just was down. But he was like, I'm not doing it in a way that it's trying to be a statement. It was just like, you kind of fit the character.
That's cool.
And I was like, do I? And then as I started doing it, like how like mercurial he is, and like what like a lover, but like just like also like a little bit. I was like, that's me. That's me.
I gotta see that. I gotta see.
But that was the last thing I did, and then I basically I was doing another project, and we went in for like a day of shooting, and I remember in my bones knowing just another one of those feelings that I was like, this role is not sitting right, like in my voice. But it was my first like big opportunity, like something that was going to be big. So then like you kind of, and I was 22, 23. You just do it. You're like, I'm going to do it because you know what? Like, what, you going to say no? No. And I knew in my body it didn't feel right. And we were shooting in a theater in Jersey. we're singing. It was like 7 a.m. We're singing everything live, right? So I was like, great, I can't hit these notes anyways. Like, but I'm gonna, you know, just like buckle up and go for it. And which is weird because I'm like, I should have just been like, it's not feeling right. I'm going to hurt myself. That's what, which now I would do. But in the moment I was like, no, like somehow like
when you're young like that,
like somehow I'm going to be like possessed by like this, remember, like the Phantom of the Opera, man, or something.
I remember looking at the phone being like, I've worked every single day this month. Like from like 7 to, you know, the end of like 12, like just, and you just go and you kind of just forget it. You just want, you have something to prove, you know what I mean?
Exactly. And I just like, I think that because I had fallen out of love with it, it was almost like you're coming back around. I was like, I'm doing it again and it feels good.
Nice.
And I just did 4 weeks of Romeo and Juliet and my voice did not like falter at all. I was sick. Like I had felt so like almost overconfident.
Yeah.
And I went in that day and it just, I remember being in the car back to New York City and like seeing the skyline and just being like, something. And I think everyone knew that something not right had happened. And honestly, I just went into denial. I was just like, it was so bad that I couldn't even like hum around the house, but I just didn't want to touch it. It was just like, I'm not going to touch it. That's going to go over there.
Hurting?
Yeah. And I went home for a bit, booked a trip to London to like Europe. And I was like, I'm just going to travel for like a month to kind of like,
interesting,
you know, just kind of forget that had happened. And I think being in New York was so theater heavy. And I was like, the last thing I want to do is walk by these theaters and think about the fact that
I always felt New York, my family's from there originally. I always felt super drawn to it. I grew up in Boston. But I spent about 8 years there. I was editing TV there for quite a long time. Had a blast. I mean, what better place to kind of spend your 20s?
Fun,
it's just so cool. It's just so much good energy and like just like being on the street, like I'll never forget, you know, just leaving my job at like on 5 or at 6 or whatever, and then just walking down like 3rd Avenue with the sun setting and everything happening, and then I was always just like seeing people in windows, like having being part of New York. That was always just super exciting. It's just such a strange like little thing. And but the thing is I did end up feeling kind of and you know, I mean, I want to go back at some point. I definitely do.
Yeah.
But I think for me, it's a personality thing a little bit where it was like, I felt a little bit too wrapped up. And I think coming here has helped a lot. Coming to London, just different atmosphere, different kind of feeling for the city and the way people move and things like that. That's helped me a lot, especially with that little bit of obsessiveness and a little bit of that. Like,
you know what? I think that New York is weird because I can look back at it now and I now have that like romanticized perception of it again. And I think that like what I do miss about it is
it's a beautiful city. You know
I just remember like my last year I was living with my best friend and we all like when I look back at my time in New York, I'm like, I don't think I ever had a weekend that was the same. Like it was just
meeting
always
people, always meeting people,
meeting crazy people, cool
over,
people.
Like going to cool like shows, like musicals, like theater stuff, comedy, like tons of good comedy, tons of good places to go out, shows, like all that stuff, and like even just like going to a park, like going to a brunch, you know what I mean? The brunch thing early on for me, like was, and then you go, 100%. And then you go to like some type of like market, like on the street, you just like pick something up, like half tipsy, like from like bottomless, like it was just so fun, and then you go and just chill with your friends all day, like on a Saturday or whatever, and it was just it feels sometimes a little bit like you're still inside, like, you know what I mean, like you're kind of in a zone, and it's like separate from like the rest of the world.
Well, no, it does, and I think that like when they call it the city that never sleeps, it literally is like it is always alive, like it is such a, and I think like I'm Mexican, so like I'm really connected to like any sort of like Latino, like, and I think that
oh my God,
it is so Latino, and it's like for me, I miss that kind of just like I feel like there's this Caribbean kind of edge to New York that I think that like even there's just life. Brooklyn, there's life everywhere. Like it's just,
and just a lot of pride for their country. So like in Bushwick, where I was living for a little while, Portuguese culture for sure. But Caribbean to the end, like different, like kind of South Brooklyn, totally like Crown Heights, like full of like different types of Caribbean music and food, and like you just can't go wrong with like, because you'll think you'll be going just to like some cool, like going to like a Prospect Park or something like that, just to go have like a bike ride or something like that. But then you bump into like a super delicious like soul food restaurant or something like that, and you're just like, this is super cool. Cool. Okay. Yeah. Wow. I didn't think we were gonna go on a whole New York kind of tangent. I wanna talk a little bit about. Tell me about the trip. Tell me. So you kind of decided to take a month. Yeah. Kind of go.
Went to Serbia, visited some friends from high school, which was random. I was just but I was like, I have nothing to lose. Like, might as well just visit like random friends. Then went to Italy. My parents met me in Italy. We were there for a bit. Came back to London and just I love it here, and
you had a good time here.
I had such a good time here, and I don't know. It was the first I'd been to London for the first time, like I think about 6 months prior to this trip, and there was something when I was here. I'm like, God, I would love to live here. Like if my life looks different, and then
it's a little bit crazy at first to say like, oh, I'm gonna get out of the country, and also I think that with the U.S. sometimes I feel like a little bit. Maybe I'm kind of doing too much here, but like. To leave the U.S. is like, why are you doing that? I get that question like, why did you leave the U.S.? Like, what? You insane?
Literally, California. People are like, you're from Los Angeles. You're from the beach in Los Angeles, and you're here. And you know what? I just something in my gut, and then like everything fell into place. Like, fell in love, like all this stuff, and like it basically was just like. And in my head, I was like, I'm gonna go to grad school. That was kind of like maybe in a year, but I want to before I bite the bullet and like do the because I didn't want to do the auditions again. I was like, oh my God, I already went through that once. If I'm gonna do it. I'm going to take a year, go to London. I was eligible for a visa through my undergrad, try it out, like figure out like what happens. And then, ended up working but it was a impulse. I don't know what, I didn't know about the industry here. I didn't know like where to start. I just, something in my gut.
So funny.
And like my intuition was like, this is the right move. Yeah. And like, I have been
Did your parents question it at all? Were they excited for you?
My mom moved to Hawaii when she was like 17. Oh, really? So my parents were always very encouraging of like
travel around.
We know you love us. Yeah, cool. Literally, I can spend hours on the phone to my mom just talking.
She sounds like your biggest fan as well. Like it sounds like you said said when you got cast as Romeo, the first thing you did was call your mom.
So well, my mom and dad, I think that like they're almost to the point where I don't even know how to be receptive of so much love. Sure. Sometimes it's like I'll do a film and be like, God, I that scene was awful. My parents are like, what? Like, but I mean, they are honest with me. Like if I'm like that, they'll be like, but yeah, they've
That's
been
great.
So I feel very lucky because I know not everyone has that experience, but my parents have believed, and I think it's because they're the hardest working people I've ever met. Like I genuinely think my mom will not retire until she's like dragged out by her hair. Like you have to retire.
What does she do?
She runs our family business, so it's cool. I don't even know how to explain it.
Yeah,
that sounds shady and weird.
No. I get it. You don't have to.
But my dad, like I grew up, my dad waking up at like 3 a.m. to go to work every day because he works for the city, and so like started as like an electrician, and now it's like has a great job. And it's definitely been like my parents were like, I don't think I've ever seen them sleep past like 6, 7 in the morning. Like they're busy. That. And I think as long as they saw that work ethic and saw that, they were always going to be supportive of what I was doing. I think if I kind of was like nonchalant about it, I think that they wouldn't, but yeah.
I love it. Okay. So then my question is, you come to London.
Yeah.
Tell me about it. Tell me a little bit about kind of some of the jobs that you ended up, getting like early on. Like that's a difficult thing. And you know what, I mean, you're still so early on in your career, sometimes I kind of think like, because I'm a little bit coming from a little bit of a, having worked quite a while in New York and then going back I'm coming at from a little bit of a different perspective, but like you are like, you still got so much that you're going to do. And I really hope we get to work together on more films and just do more things. And we have to talk about that as well.
Yes.
Because I think maybe there's some writing that we can do. It's cool because even with Sam and Emma, who I worked with on Dino Hunt, are like starting to kind of think about, okay, we got to write this thing. And I know you write quite a bit as well. So we do have to talk about that. It's just been such a whirlwind of like work over the past 6 months with Champ Dog and otherwise. Yeah. So I'm trying to get everything together, but once things are together, then we will get back to it. But tell me about London. Like, kind of, you've given me some good ideas, and let's try and talk about that a little bit if that's cool.
I mean, I think my first few months I did like an advanced acting program at RADA because I think that after like the vocal injury, I'm like, I really wanted to just focus on like, I guess like I think once I knew that singing wasn't necessarily something I could do as like a lucrative like career, I think that I had to kind of reframe my brain in a way, because I think that like anyone who sings, it's such a huge part of your identity. And when that is not something, even just like singing around the house, singing in the car, and then all of a sudden I literally can't do that. I think that I wanted to really focus on being an actor outside of like also being a singer, because I'm like, I know I can like perform a song, but I also need to get back to like just acting. And luckily at NYU it was super acting heavy. I mean, it was more acting heavy than it was singing heavy. A lot of Shakespeare, all that. I mean, so I did that program, and I met a lot of really cool people of like all ages, all backgrounds, that were just like, you know, wanting to kind of refresh their skills and stuff. And I think that I did that, and that helped kind of give me my confidence back. And then I got my visa, came back here, and kind of just was like, I need to get an actual like part-time job. So I was working at a boxing gym, and just like front desk. Yeah.
Love it.
But everyone there, were dancers, actors, whatever. And it was the first time I was kind of like making friends outside of that program. And they were just all like, oh, call this person, do this, do that. And I didn't actually know how to be receptive of people being so helpful, because in my head, when someone's that helpful, I'm like, you want something? Because I think that in the US sometimes that kind of is the industry, like in California and New York.
It's subtle, some of the differences, you know. It's like, it's nice kind of the English kind of being able to speak the same language in both places, but it's definitely a different, like, I mean, I notice you saying where it's like, there's obviously American English, and then like I kind of slowly start to kind of say some of the kind of phrases that are more popular here. And
they
it's like,
slip in. It's
fun. It's like it's kind of nice. It's kind of like relearning the language a little bit or something like that, you know.
But people were
opens your mind a little bit,
kind to me, and I kind of was just like, whoa, like. Because I mean,
different emphasis.
But that's how, like, I was raised in a way that it's like, if you can help someone out and you like believe in their skill and they're hardworking, like that's what you should help someone out. And I think that I was kind of like confused. I was like, people are so nice, like it's crazy. And then I was just like cold submitting stuff, and then like not hearing anything back, because my reel at that point was not very impressive. It was like stuff from school, and I was like, I feel like I've changed so much as a person, like I don't.
I have to say, when I got paired with you for TaylorMade, I was a little like, oh, okay, here we go. Like I was like, she's got some stuff she's done, she's worked with the group before, like I got to step up a little bit, you know. It felt like a nice thing. Like I was like excited to work with someone who I could tell had done a ton of work and was like ready to like, you know, take this like role by the horns, and like that was like exciting coming out of school. It definitely like, and I felt up to the challenge, you know what I mean? It felt like the right kind of thing, you know.
I think that it was weird, because it was a year of like, again, like I the first film that I took, I remember I was at my boyfriend's house, and I was like, oh, I don't know, like it's a horror, like I never really wanted to do horror.
I'm even talking TaylorMade though, you know, really like, but the
but just kind of
the one before.
So and then it was a year of kind of just doing a couple of the horror films, and then I ended up loving it. I love being covered in blood. I'm just like, cover me, like I love it. It's such a high now.
Well, like, I mean, it was so funny, like taking the picture with the candy cane through the eye, and I really can't wait for that movie to come out, because it is a good combo of like funny, but kind of serious. And Lolly plays this really cool kind of almost a little bit kind of like, I feel like a lot of people can jump into her perspective with it a little bit, because she kind of plays like this, like outside, like it's like a wild kind of charade kind of thing happening. And I think you do a good job of playing into that, almost like it's like this house of horrors or madness or something like that. And it, like a lot of the SFX that we did play into that a little bit, so it's kind of a cool, it's like exactly what you want from a Christmas horror type of thing.
You know what? I feel like TaylorMade was such a palate cleanse for me. Because I remember when I walked in, and this was something that I loved about you, because I had like all these costumes, and then I was wearing like my outfit, so I had like baggy pants and a tank top, literally what I'm wearing now.
I love it.
And then I was like, what should I wear? And you were like, wear that. And I was like, for me, it was just such a quick, I'm like, oh, I love this character now. Like I was just ready, because I was like in my own clothes. And I think that
that's funny.
Olivia was so close to me in a way. Like it was, I think just like,
I don't know. I mean, I think early on you want to just use what you got, and like, then we have a look at the character and we say, okay, we loved this. All right, we can change this a little bit, and we can do more. You know, another RomCom comes down the line, whatever we want to do.
Love that.
You know what I mean? Like they're fun. I think the RomCom was most fun for me, because the horror is just, you have to kind of like take your brain out of its thing and like throw it over there, because it's horror, and like obviously that's not something you're so familiar
Yeah.
with. Rom-com, like, everyone falls in love at some point,
Yeah.
and like you can take a lot of those emotions and put them into these characters, and like the coyness or the shyness or the over the top, and like those little moments when you're like measuring him or doing this or that, it all kind of comes down in the trailer a little bit, and it works really well. Like it's like a cute, like you know, you guys do a lot of cute moments and like hit those beats, and that's what we're trying to do, you know.
But I think that for me as well, like it kind of made me rewire like what I also consume, because I like heavy drama. I like just like.
We'll get to those verticals. We'll get to those verticals.
Oh gosh.
Different type of heavy drama.
Yeah, different type of heavy drama. But like for me, like my favorite show of all time is Succession. Like I love that really character driven kind of just like, but I consume. I remember my poor boyfriend. He was sick at the time, and he's having some issues. And I put on Waves, the A24 film, and it's just so heavy, right? And I was like, I should have read The Room. I really should have read The Room, because this poor guy's like watching it, and he's just like, Shayli, like, time and place, like not right now. But to me, like I feel like I'm so desensitized to like heavy films. So I'm just like, cool.
What's Waves about?
It's basically about, I'm a sucker for a sports film. Like it's about this this wrestler that ends up getting injured, and then he kind of just, it's a kind of a 2-part film. I don't know like if you've seen Place Beyond the Pines, but like how it's like cut up in sections. So you follow him and then you follow his sister basically. Cool. But it's heavy. It's very heavy. It's visually gorgeous, but for me, I'm just like, oh, it's so pretty. And then my boyfriend's like, this is so messed up.
I feel like we're going all over the place. I'm trying, because I think the trick is like, I want to ask you a little bit about what you want to do, you know, what are those next films? It sounds like that's something that's kind of intriguing you a little bit.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Let's see. Where do we go from here?
I know, I was trying to.
No, we're doing good. It's all good stuff. But I'm trying to think because we don't need to go by chronology, like because we've kind of talked about London, we've talked about some of the stuff, and I think we've touched on that. Let's talk about, because I want to talk a little bit about like your current career a little bit.
Yeah, of course.
I think it would be interesting. I know it's not like the most, but I want to touch on the vertical drama stuff.
Oh, I'd love to talk about it.
Are you down?
Yeah, so down.
Can you tell me a little bit about what your experiences have been like on vertical dramas? You've done a few now.
I've done quite a few, yeah.
I just think it's an important kind of thing, because they're kind of coming down the line, and there's a lot of them, and they might grow into something else. A lot of them are kind of coming from other countries and being funded here and being shot here. Can you give me just like a little sense of like what your experience has been on vertical dramas and what that's been like from just a performance perspective, but also just like your own whole 360 of it?
I think I did my first vertical in December, and it was something that I was always a little bit like, oh, I don't know about that for me. Like I just don't really feel like I'll do it well, blah, blah, blah. But a director that I love, Andrea, he was like, Shayli, I'm directing one. So I was like, oh, anything for you. It's like how I feel about you. Like anything that you're doing, I'm in.
Yeah. We can make it work.
But my first vertical, I don't ever really feel insecure about my performance, but I felt so uncomfortable in my body almost, but it was something that I had not really I had experienced it with musical theater when I was having like a bad day, but like with film I always feel really grounded, and I think that it was just, especially that one, they wanted the camp. They were like, I was playing one of the villains, they wanted me being like
you had like
doing this whole thing, and but I was just like, and then you kind of go up against like, and I think verticals are very like, what does the client want? And you're kind of, that is going up against like artistic integrity, and literally that just becomes like,
it's very apparent.
So
like, that money is playing a big.
Yes, and I did that one, and I remember like not feeling great about it. And then I did my second one, and I was playing opposite a really good friend of mine who wasn't a friend of mine at the time. Like his name's Charlie, and basically I showed up on that set, and it was just like, we have to go into like this argument that we were doing in this beautiful bedroom. And like the night was gorgeous. We didn't know each other. And quickly we were just like, hey, nice to meet you. Do you want to just run the scene? And we ran the scene. And Andrea was just like, just improv it, do what you want. And we just like, and now we're good friends, which makes sense why. Because in that moment, we just kind of were like, all right, we're locked in.
Yeah, cool.
And I think that made, that scene in itself with Charlie made me kind of reframe the way I was looking at verticals. Because I was like, I'm looking at it as like, I'm playing the villain, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, yeah, but like, you can breathe life into anything. Yeah. It doesn't matter what's on the page. It like, you can. And I think that we had that moment where we were like, okay, so then the rest of the time we kind of attacked that script in a way where like, obviously this is not the most serious thing like in the world, but we can still play. It's weird because you could still play the villain in the way that people want a villain, but I can still do it from a perspective that's actually authentic, as opposed to playing like this caricature. Yeah. Because for me, I don't find that like, I can't do that and then be like, it's out in the world and I just did what they told me to do. Like, I have to find some truth in it.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, I couldn't say it better myself.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like, if you're gonna, as soon as you get to a film set, it doesn't matter if it's a vertical drama or otherwise, you're going to be bringing in people who are passionate about what they're doing. Otherwise, you wouldn't be doing it. So, like, to then be like, oh, just do what we say and don't, like, it like it doesn't even make sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
and that's the thing is for me, like, and it's like conversations we always have when we like work on something together. It's like, okay, here's the script. How do we make this make like sense, like
which
within
was really
the world?
Fun. And you know what's been fun about that is like, because we had to push through that with a little bit of tailor-made and a little bit of Christmas. But I feel like as my script comprehension has become better, you know, just reading through these feature-long scripts and then like trying to like figure everything out within like a week to then kind of get to the actors and be able to like have them approach it in a good way. It's like, and even just working with the same writer multiple times, they start to understand the vision
100%,
and it's really nice and it starts to like all roll in the right direction where we don't have to do the legwork of like figuring out what the script meant in the first couple stages. It's just tricky, and it's not really any hate on the writer per se, because the writer's trying to do their best job. But that's a tough gig as well to try and create this like really interesting, intriguing plot while still making it make complete sense. And then the actors come in and really like breathe life into it and go, ooh, this little bit might have made sense on the page that doesn't make so much sense. So I think from a directing standpoint, you're like trying to like get all these, and you're saying, I want to work with you again, I want to work with you again, I want to work with you again. You should be empowered because you saw the last one now and you get what we went through to do that. And it's like, it's a bit of empowerment to each person with showing them the final product of the last one we did.
Well, that is what I do love about these verticals and these features that are quicker. It's like it does become like, all right, team, let's go. Like, let's figure this out.
Yeah, because everyone's all strangers in the first one. It's tough to just get all these people in the same room and say, let's try and figure it out. First go, you know?
Yeah, and I think that with the verticals that I've been on that have been the most like done the best have actually been the one where I think that sometimes the clients think like, oh, the people watching these want, you know, whatever. But like I've actually spoken, like I'm now like not necessarily friends, but like speak to like some of the fans and stuff of the verticals. They like the ones that we went in and we did the work and we actually made these like characters. Like people want that, and I think that there is a disconnect somewhere with like, and I think that obviously it is a medium that is getting bigger and bigger.
I think so. I think it's gonna do like, it's just gonna keep. It's just, that's why it's fun to talk about, because it's a little bit like current. You don't know. It's current for sure, and you know it's been popular in other places, but it's coming to the UK and the US a lot more. Like the guy who manages this studio has directed like 30 of them. Wow. And it travels around and things like that. So it's. And then I think the big kind of, again, Western media companies are taking a look at it and going, like if this is episodic stuff and we can make a lot of money out of it, and everyone's got the phone and ready to watch a couple episodes on a train ride, like, well, let's do a medieval one. Let's do, you know, like let's do them all. Let's do everything, you know? And then if that helps us kind of in a step ladder, if like horizontal movies are the top or high-end television is the top, and this is kind of a way to get there. Yeah. I mean, that's my thing. I was talking about it yesterday with Rory Chambers, who directs quite a few of them as well. You know, the Chambers brothers. Yeah. I mean, what's it going to take to get like an A-list actor or even, you know, that kind of range into one of these? People are going to talk about it a little bit, you know? And if the money's right and they're down, then it's probably going to happen at some point, right? Yeah. Like, I don't know, maybe it'll take a little bit of time, but it seems like that type of thing. And then if it starts to really, it'll grow.
It kind of is like the modern day like soap operas, you know, and that's kind of how I started looking at it, like how many big actors got their start doing soaps and doing things like that, you know. And I think that like I've seen a lot of kind of people that I know, more so in the US than here, kind of turn their nose up to it, like, I would never do one of those. And it's like, I would much rather do a vertical drama and actually be like,
have fun.
But like really like it's sharpened my memorization skills, like 100%. My impulse, my like improv, things like that. And
do the work, you know what I mean? Just exactly. Do the freaking work. And like, it's not even about like, oh, I'm going to delete all this stuff off my, you know, whatever. Like, if that's what you want to do at some point, that's all well and good. Whatever your little system is for showing the work, like, it's all going to play into like who you are and how you really master performances. That was one question I was going to ask, is like, tell me about, I know you've got like some idols, like actors and like, tell me a little bit about like some people you look up to. I'm kind of, I guess like, yeah, in regards to like acting, like tell me like
there's so many.
Yeah, so maybe someone recent or someone maybe growing up who you really was like, I really like love.
Yeah,
their work.
I feel like, I mean, for me, I'll always say Jennifer Lawrence. When I was like
Nice.
12, watching her in Hunger Games was like, I feel like that's such my generation, like
Yeah,
rite
she's
of passage.
good.
I also I love her. I love that, like
Her attitude
you know,
is really
but you know
cool.
what I love about her is like and it's what makes her so sexy and so appealing is like she's not afraid to just be fucking. Oh, sorry. I'm just going.
No, it's okay. You can swear. It's fine. It's fine. This is it.
It took me. I've been doing good, but she's not afraid to just be ugly. Like for me, it was like when I started doing.
And it's like hard to even get her to be ugly.
But I just mean like if she's screaming, it's not that like kind of like she is. It's guttural. Like it's in her bones. Yeah. And I think
she's done a lot of different kind of range of performances.
Yeah, but growing up, that was the one person that I always like. I felt like connected to watching. I was like, oh, I would love to like be that good one day. I would love to like blah blah blah. Now I think, oh gosh, there's so many people. I mean, I'm Christian Bale fan always.
Yeah.
I think he's absolutely amazing. I love Christian Bale. Who else?
No, those are good answers.
I feel like you always have your answers ready, and then as soon as someone asks you,
No.
like,
Christian Bale and Jennifer Lawrence is perfect. That's a really good. That's a good team.
Those are probably.
If you could have them in a film.
Yeah, Matthew McConaughey as well, and I think it's also just like he's a very spiritual person, and I like the way he sees the world. I like the way he talks about acting. I like. I read his book in about like a few hours. I love him, and I think that like he kind of is someone like because he was the RomCom guy, and then he just took a step back. And
someone was saying like, oh, you know, like I was, he was saying, you know, there was the guy before me, and then I was the RomCom guy, and he was saying something about he hasn't been able to pass the baton on, like there's like that RomCom kind of gene kind of fell out a little bit.
But he was so good at it. That's the thing is he could have, but then he took a step back and he would not. I think they were offering him like millions and millions of dollars, and he wouldn't take it because he was like, I want to do dramatic films, and I think that kind of is something that. Yeah. I don't know. I like the way he speaks about things, and I heard that, and I was like, oh, you know what? In the beginning, you might not be doing the things that like you're like ideally in an ideal world. These are the kind of like films I want to do, or like these are the kind of projects that I'm drawn to. Like, you're not always going to get that out the jump, like out the gate.
For sure. Yeah, I think this is really good. This is really cool because we're getting a really good sense of like what. Some of the people you look up to. We've got a really good sense of kind of your trajectory throughout your career up until now. So what I really want to ask is, and we've got like this idea, you know, we're jumping between some vertical stuff, we're doing some feature stuff, we're just growing, like trying to really figure out I really think we're at a stage where it's like, it's really just, that's why I was talking about the writing and just just going towards movies that we really want to make. You're talking about Waves, you're talking about Succession. I know that you just recently filmed a pilot.
I did.
Tell me about that. Tell me about that, because that sounded like something that was really good for you.
Yeah, it actually like kind of hits me in my core every time I talk about it. I think it was one of those roles that I definitely thought eventually, if I'm lucky, I'll get to play a role like this. If someone would have asked me my dream role before I knew this role existed, I would have been like something like Libby in Belief. But basically, it is about a girl that has been kind of just abused by the church, and then later, like it's kind of a sci-fi. She comes back, basically has her list of people that she kind of wants to take down, and it is the most dark character I've played. But I think that I can't get her out of my head. Like I literally, it's a character that even when we wrapped the first episode, I was just like, God, I need to stop thinking about. But Julian Oswick, the writer, he's been working on it for 10 years. Damn. And it is a true like labor of love. And I think that it was funny because we were driving to set one day and he's speaking to me and he was like, so weird. Like I never thought Libby would be just like this American chick. Like that was not who she was in my head. But I think that everyone in that project has kind of, again, like treated it as a labor of love and has put in so much to their character that it's just, obviously I haven't seen the scenes that I wasn't in, but it's all on the page. Like his writing is so incredible that we got on set and we were like, I feel like I don't even have to do that much work because it's all there. Like it's all there. The world is there. The characters are so clear without being like, which I think a lot of stuff now, it spells it out for you so much. Without it being that, you can just tell like everyone has such a clear voice, clear motivation. And I think like as an actor, it's just like being given cake.
Where you can just do exactly what you're meant to do. And it's not figuring out all these holes or like something like that. You know, you can just go right in and just really explore the character and like do what you were meant to do there. That's great. That's amazing. I wish you the best with it. Where were you filming it?
We were up in Birmingham,
Cool.
or like outside of Birmingham, like Sutton Coldfield. A few locations up there.
Love it.
Yeah, so hopefully we're getting the second and third episode done soon.
I hope so.
Hopefully, but
I hope so. No, I think you will. You know, I get that feeling that it went really, really well. So then, tell me about the future. Tell me what you want to do. What do you want to do? You know what I mean? Like, what are like you're obviously very goal oriented and driven. So I'm curious, like, cause you know, we can help each other do that. You know what I mean? Like, I really want to hear like what, you know, I know like there's the dream roles and things like that, but I think it's a little bit about what I'm looking for is like kind of short term, you know, what would make sense like in regards to just going towards your goal, and then like a long, like kind of like that long term, like oh yeah, this is the type of thing. Yeah, tell me, I don't know, whatever comes to mind. It might be a tough one, but
it is. I think I have felt very lucky. I think that like I am someone that does think long term. Like I always say in the back of my head, kind of what's kept me honest my whole life is like, okay, one day if I can sit down like with my kids and be like, I didn't take shortcuts, I did this way, and like blah blah blah, like that will be making it for me. It's like being able to sit down with my family one day and be like, you know. But I think
you did it your way.
But I've been so lucky because like I said, like with Belief, and then I'm doing another film next month, season 13, which is another horror, but it's a really cool concept. I'm dealing with two roles here that are roles that I didn't think I would probably like, that are just like meat and potatoes, man, like really. And I think that like I've been very lucky so far to play a lot, like with Olivia and with Amber, like all the for TaylorMade, and I know we did Last Christmas. Those are some great roles that I'm like, dang, I've been so lucky. But I guess looking forward,
are you like, could I maybe it's even, I think with acting sometimes, you know, it's that idea of like putting yourself out there every time you're cast in something, putting your best work in there, and then making sure that's available. And then like it's kind of unexpected sometimes what you get, you know what I mean? And it's like that's kind of the fun thing. You kind of put yourself into the microcosm or whatever like that, and then kind of like it's interesting what it sounds like, you know, there's villain roles and like it's like what the hell, like and then it's fun to just put that on its head and then do like this kind of rom-com. So do you like that? Do you kind of like that kind of unexpected?
I like, oh my gosh, you know, it's weird, and I think that this will be a never-ending loop, and you probably feel this way as a director as well. Like when I had played villain after villain, I think it was more so when I was doing the verticals, I was like, oh my God, all I want is to like Andrea, that director I mentioned, was always like, in his like Italian accent, was like, Shayli, like you never get to fall in love. Like, and I'm like, no, I don't, but it's fine. Like I got mine at home. I'm good. Don't need to do it on camera.
You can go do something else, I guess.
And then I did TaylorMade, and I was like, oh my God, this is like so nice. Like actually playing someone that I'm like, at least consumers will watch me and be like, oh, that's like a light person. That's like where I think that's
why it would be so fun to do another one, because I think we could try a different character. You know what I mean? Just go into different. I would
like to do something a bit quirkier.
Yeah, make something completely different. You know, like different, you know, career, different mindset, or maybe something that's closer to home, like in regards to what you're. You know, that's the fun of writing, is that you can just go in and you can go in these directions, or something you develop with the writer. You know, I think directing wise, that's the fun of it, is like maybe approaching a writer and saying, listen, I've got these two actors that I'm interested in working with. And we kind of had some ideas about the characters that we wanted to do, and then kind of forming something that like feels right from a couple different angles. And then I think the trick would be like doing that, you know what I mean? And then we could kind of explore a little bit, leave some up to the day, you know, plan out some super specific stuff that we really like. And just do that rom-com again. Because I think,
that
again,
would be so great.
What we were talking about is just like trying to get away from the horror stuff that's like our rom-com is genre, but like just something that feels closer to home, that we're relatable with. And again, that's how I felt with TaylorMade, is just that it's like it's just there's an excitement to it.
Well, I think it's also making something that, you know, people will watch and they'll feel good. And like, I think that was like, oh, people are gonna feel good watching this.
Like my cousin and his wife living in LA now are like, Greg, we're gonna watch the rom-com, like, and it's like that feels good, like, because, you know, normally, you know, maybe you make kind of like a high drama at London Film School, or you make a horror, and like they might not be so into it, but like like, you know, like a husband and wife, you
yeah.
go watch the rom-com, you know, and they're both doctors, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like they have a little like 3-year-old, you know,
Yeah.
so like that's a perfect little date night for them, you know what I mean?
Yeah. But I think that's kind of, I like having a variety. I think that
Yeah, you have to, I think that's important. I think maybe
Yeah.
that's part of what we're talking about a little bit in regards to like looking forward is just like variety, like do a little horror, do a little rom-com, and look at Christian Bale, American Psycho,
exactly.
and then you've got, you know, Dark Knight. So he plays like, of course, like into like this kind of more, I wouldn't call it like darker, but he plays a more drama heavy kind of thing. So sure, you got that, but then you've got McConaughey, completely kind of different type of energy coming from a different area.
I think that like, I would like to wear as many hats as possible.
Yeah.
And I think you feel that as well. Like, I'm like, and that's why I like my first few years here, I'm like, I'm going to be so focused on the acting. And then I'm like, and then I want to write my own stuff and do stuff like that. And then when I'm older, I want to do this, and this. So I think it's like, if by the time like I have like done my years on this earth, I've worn like every cap I wanted to wear.
And you really find that like you find it as you go. You know what I mean? Like Meryl Streep probably wasn't like, oh, like this is the actor that I'm going to pop out at the end with everyone in their mind. Like, when you think of Meryl Streep, you kind of think of like a variety, but drama oriented, but also kind of lighthearted, like kind of comedy oriented at times. You know, like a good actor can do that all. You know what I mean? And it's fun. Like De Niro, like you know, he does like Meet the Fockers or something. Like kind of he loves to do a comedy, but then he did, you know, Taxi Driver when he was younger, and like it's that's the fun of like the best is that they might have like kind of like something that you can kind of typecast them in, but then it's just as exciting to go see them do
something kind of off the wall as well. Yeah.
So I guess I don't know. I guess that's kind of, I don't know, right? Yeah, we got some understanding there.
100%. Yeah,
Cool.
I think that like I said, I was so used to when I was young. People were always like, "Oh, Shayli plays the princess roles," and I was like, "But I would like to do." But then you get in that headspace where you're like, "Oh, maybe I can't play." This like other kind of side of the spectrum. Maybe I can't do that.
And then try.
Oh yeah, but then now it's like, oh my god, like everything I'm doing, people are like, no, you're a bit. She's got that crazy look in your eyes.
But
I'm like, it's genetics.
It's fun, well, it's fun to say fuck you to them. You know what I mean? And like turn that crazy look in your eye into like something that's like completely the opposite side of that. Like that's how you, like, it's all about like the critic in your head or the critic on the page or whatever, kind of just flipping that all around. And I guess that's the fun of it, is when you finally start to get the work out there where you get criticism, or you get like even with Marcus,
100%.
who played Dracula in Space, which I just did. He's sending me fan mail from being Owl in Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey too. And so it's interesting. When you start to get that interplay between, you know, fans and you were saying even with the vertical dramas, you had been speaking with some people that
there's a couple of girls that are like that I've met through like the vertical drama that actually, when I do something, I'm like, what'd you think?
That's cool.
And I value the opinion, because I'm like, obviously, like you've watched some of my work, but I think it's like, especially at this stage, like no one really knows who I am, but some people do, and I'm like, I want your opinion, because something's working for you. So tell me what worked in this one or what didn't work.
It's super cool.
But it is super cool, kind of once you start getting perspective. And I'm like, I can't help myself, like with the films that I've done. Like I'm like, I want to see what people are saying. Like eventually I'll get out of that.
I mean, do it. You know
but I think it does kind of like, because I think when you're on a set, you always look at it from a certain perspective, and you'll be like, this is what this looks like from my angle. But like, obviously it's going to be perceived in so many different ways. And I think that, especially as an actor, especially with the verticals, I think that that's why I was like, if I'm going to be doing these, what works, what doesn't work, and like, how can I make that work for me? You know, because obviously, like, the clients will always be like, oh, well, what the viewers want, and I'm like, well, I've spoken to the viewers, and they don't want what the clients necessarily think the viewers want. The viewers actually want stories that are a bit more like X, Y, and Z. So it's just all about like perspective.
It is. It's like a little bit of it's this idea of like adaptation, but also kind of like convincing the client, convincing the audience. You know what I mean? And then it's like that's the magic. That's the magic. Yeah. Is there anything else you would like to chat about? I feel like we've got a good.
I feel like we've smashed it.
So then, Shayli Reagan, I want to thank you so much for being on the United Filmmaker Podcast. I hope we can do another one really soon, and we'll be chatting, we'll be working together. This is kind of just, it's funny to think it's early stage, but definitely early stages.
It is early stages.
We got a lot of work to do. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of the United Film Podcast. We are a self-funded organization looking to broaden and diversify the filmmaking culture here in London. Please like, subscribe, and share this podcast. It is through our listeners that we gain recognition and are able to fund new initiatives with this podcast. Thank you.